Do you feel like showing your emotions is weak or useless? Well, I want to change your mind about that. Hey everyone, my name is Joel and I want to talk to you today about opening up. I think a lot of people, they feel like it shows weakness or they don't want to do it because they feel like they should be able to handle everything within their own mind. I'd say this is more common with guys, but it definitely happens with pretty much everybody and it can be a real problem. In my own life, I've seen it lead to sadness, bitterness, and anger, but don't just take my word for it. We've all heard the saying, We've all heard the saying, don't keep things bottled up. And in psychology, in like the research community, sometimes that's called emotion suppression. Basically, emotion suppression is bottling up your emotions, stuffing things down, and refusing to accept or acknowledge that things are really upsetting you, and you're just trying to push them to the side. A study by Brockman, Ciarrochi, Parker, and Kashdan, I don't know if I'm saying those names right, I hope I'm not messing them up too badly. It looked at emotion suppression by analyzing a sample of 187 college students. Basically, the participants had to track their feelings and the way they handled their emotions for 21 days in a row. After the 21 days were up, then the researchers looked at the data to see how people handled their emotions and how differences in the way people handled their emotions affected how well they handled things and sort of how their mood changed, whether they had more positive moods or more negative moods, and how that was described in the study was positive affect and negative affect. And one of the things they were looking for was a connection between emotion suppression and how effectively people can regulate their emotions. One side note that I thought was crazy whenever I was reading the study is that they had 20.59 out of 21 days, like an average of almost 21 days for every participant that participated. So that means that out of all the 187 people that participated, almost every single one of them filled out the survey, everything they needed to do for every single day of the 21-day period, which I don't know, I just think that's crazy that they were offered a chance, like they were raffled a $25 gift card, so maybe they might get that, and they also got research credit for it, but still to me, like I think that's unbelievable that they got 187 people to do something consistently for 21 days. Okay, anyway, so back to the results of the study. Okay, they found that higher tendencies of emotion suppression, so the more often that you bottle up your emotions, the more negative affect that they saw, or negative moods, and the less positive affect or positive moods that they saw reported in the data for those people. And they also saw just less effective emotional regulation on the whole for the people that used emotion suppression more often and were stuffing down their feelings. These researchers also cited other studies that sort of showed similar findings, where they also found that emotion suppression can be harmful to people and doesn't really do a good job of handling your emotions in the long term. It seems that from their research that generally in the psychological community, emotion suppression is looked at sort of negatively and that it impacts your ability to handle your emotions in a negative way. This study also found sort of the adverse effect with mindfulness, and people that were generally more in touch with their feelings and more accepting and open and aware of their feelings and experiences had better emotional regulation, and they had more instances of positive affect or positive mood, and they had less negative moods than the people that were using emotion suppression as one of their main coping skills. So it kind of works both ways. The less you're in touch with your feelings, the less accepting and open you are of being aware of your feelings and dealing with them, then it's sort of the worse you're probably going to feel on an emotional and mental health level. And on the other side, if you are really in touch with your feelings and open and aware of them, then probably the better you're going to feel on the mental health side of things. All right, so back to you. If you're having trouble with expressing your feelings, then I have a couple things that might be able to help you out. First, just remind yourself that it's unhealthy to keep things bottled up, that we really need to let things out, we need to talk to somebody, we need to write things down, we need to do something to express our emotions, and realize that if we don't do that and we keep them bottled up, then it's probably just going to be harmful for us in the long run, and that's not what we want to do. We want to do things that will help us in the long run rather than are going to come back to bite us eventually. Secondly, you can realize that it takes a lot of courage and strength to express your feelings rather than weakness. So that's my main argument against it's a weak thing to express your feelings. Whenever you think about it, most people don't like doing it, and it can be a difficult thing to do. So in my mind, something that is difficult to do shouldn't be considered something that is a weak act, because usually things that are difficult take strength to overcome them. So I would say that's the same thing in this case. It's difficult to talk about your emotions, but sometimes you need to do it, and it takes strength to make that happen. Another idea is to find someone you trust to talk to. So that can make it easy. That way, whenever you're feeling like you really need to get some things off your chest and you need to not stuff things down and bottle them up, then you have a go-to person that you can talk to about those things. If you can't find a friend or a family member that you feel like is really good for this, then you can also see maybe a counselor or some professional in the mental health field. But really the important thing is that you trust them and that they're going to give you good advice. All right, my last tip is to find multiple ways to express your feelings. So I mentioned already talking to someone, but you could also journal. You could also write music. You could draw. It doesn't have to be something artistic. It could be maybe working out helps you release some of your feelings. It could be meditation. It could be a lot of different things. So just kind of try some new things, be open to new experiences, and figure out what helps you get out your feelings and your emotions. Whatever works for you, try to build up maybe a little toolbox of a few things that might work for you. And then those can be your go-to things whenever you're feeling like you really need to get some things off your chest and you don't want to keep things bottled up because you feel like that's going to be bad for you in the long run. All right, so I hope this has helped you realize the importance of dealing with your feelings, being aware of them, and not bottling things up. I really hope that going forward you can find ways to deal with your feelings, be more aware with them, and then overall just improve your own mental health. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and if you have any questions or ideas, feel free to leave those in the comments, but other than that, take care.